Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to prime your dampers and get to your back dampers, your Clolour dampers in your Super Mini DTF printer. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is move our film back, because in order to get to the actual dampers we have to put our printer head here. But we don't want the film there because you could actually get a head strike from that because the vacuum's not on, so the film could flopple up. So for all safety purposes, on no head strikes, just move your film back. You don't have to send it out, you can just move it back. Just tap it till it's just there, right to the edge of your rollers, so that when we're finished this, you can just kind of roll back. You can roll it right back into place. So just hit back, roll your film back until it's just under the rollers there, and so that your printer head can sit here safely when we move it. Okay, so the supplies required for this are going to be 1/2 cup distilled water, a few foam tips, get your little squirt bottle with moisturizer in it, your syringe, and lots of paper towel. And you'll also need a little bit of green tape, painter's tape. You'll also need a Phillips screwdriver. Okay, so you want to push the left button on your controls and move your head to the center where you can work with it. Then we're going to grab a piece of paper towel. You're going to fold it, and we're going to put it, you're not going to go right under, just under the front. If you go too far, then you're going to be drying out your printer head. So just put it up front and leave it right about there. And then we'll get some tape and tape it down. So just grab your painter's tape at this time, 2 small pieces, and just put them at the edges here so that this paper towel does not move while you're working, and so that it does not get bumped back into the head by accident. We just tape that down, and now we can work and make a little mess here, and it'll be okay if we do. Okay, so you want to grab your paper towel, take 2 pieces, fold it over each other, place it up on top of the head here. And this is where we'll put our head 2 on top of here to actually gain access to our back dampers. You can also tape this piece down with 2 little pieces of tape so it doesn't move as you're lifting the head. Just put 1 on each side. That way it ensures that it stays in place. Now it won't move around. Okay, you want to grab your Phillips screwdriver, and you've got 4 screws on your printer head, and we've got to remove those, and then we'll be removing the printer head with dampers all the way to the top here. So you can kind of just get in behind the damper on the 2 back ones. And just kind of hold the damper in place so it doesn't kind of pop out of place. And just loosen the screw right off. You don't have to take the screws out. Again, just kind of sneak in behind the damper. There's enough room there just to get the screwdriver in. Loosen that head. And you'll kind of hear a tick as it comes out, so that means it's hopping out of the actual hole. So that means that you're completely out. I'll get the 2 front ones. Now, as you take the last one out, you're being careful. Kind of hold the printer head down a little bit with your other hand so it doesn't pop out of place. And as you're pulling it out, we're going to be watching that we don't scratch the head as we pull it out. We want to pull it straight up. So if for some reason it doesn't come up easy, that just means one of the screws is still in place. So I just kind of hold the back of the dampers with one hand, and I use one hand on the actual head, and I kind of pull straight up with both so that I'm not hitting the head on this metal piece here. So I'm pulling that straight up. And then once you get it to about here, you can kind of grab the whole head with your other hand. And now you can kind of situate it a bit better. And just pull it straight up and around. And you're gonna let it rest just on that piece of napkin there. And now we have full access. I've got 2 extra lines here I ran just for some extra neon later. But these are the actual dampers that you need to get to. So we're gonna prime each one of these. And as you can see, these ones got some air in it. That's what you don't wanna do, is allow your tank to run out, because then you get air in your line. Air goes in the line, then it goes into your damper, and you've got to prime the damper at that point, or your head is not getting the full ink that it should. So now that we have access in here, we can kind of move this piece of paper towel, and we can move it back a little bit further. So you're under the first head, only the first one, and then retape it down right there. And we're also going to put some paper towel over here as well. Now, if there's any mess inside here, just take your foam tip, rinse it off completely. Rinse it off completely. And clean accordingly. Then you're going to grab another piece of paper towel. You're going to fold it. And this one's going to go over and in front of this head, so that as you're priming, if anything spills here, it'll go on the paper towel and not all over your printer head shaft. So you just kind of set it a little bit under the head and allow the 2 sides to become walls on each side. So kind of put it in center so that on each side it kind of flaps up. And now at this point, we're ready to prime our dampers. So even though the one has run out, I'm still going to check my other dampers while I'm back here, just to make sure that they're all primed up as well. So when I normally do this, I will prime all my dampers at the back just to have them all freshly primed. And then we can put our head 2 back into place and see if any priming is needed there as well. So you're going to grab your syringe at this point. You're going to make sure you have some paper towel at hand, just 1 piece. And have your foam tips and your water at hand as well. So just rip a piece of your paper towel, because you only need a small piece to wipe the bottom. Just leave it kind of set aside where you can grab it. We'll start with the black. And let me switch positions of the camera here, switch angles. Okay, so we'll start with the black. I kind of pinch the hose and where it connects into, and then I kind of just give it a little wiggle, and then I'll grab the actual sides of it and just pull straight up on the actual damper. And if it doesn't come up like right away, you can actually grab the hose and kind of just bend it forward, and it'll pop out of place, and pull it out very slowly and carefully, because you don't want to touch this part of the damper or it'll start to leak. So pull out your first damper. So this one's pretty good. Didn't really need some priming, but I'm going to give it a little prime anyhow, just to give it a nice fresh prime. So again, you can kind of pull straight and then hold the damper upside down completely and pull any air that's in there out. And then if you push back a little bit, you'll notice that it'll breathe. That'll move in and out. So I'll suck back in and the damper will go in. So what you want to do is kind of just push back just a little bit, so it's kind of pushed out a hair. You don't want to push too much and put too much air pressure in there, because now you're holding the syringe, bringing it back down over the paper towel, and you're pulling the syringe out slowly. But if you push back too much, you'll get a really big squirt. So you want to pull out the syringe very slowly, and you'll get a little bit of a drip or a spill, which is normal. And then you're going to grab that little piece of paper towel, and you're just going to wipe and clean the bottom of your damper. Make sure you get right inside the hole there. There we go. And as you're putting it back, I pinch the hose and the top of the damper at the same time to have full control of it. And then I kind of just ease it back into place, not touching this side you can kind of touch and get away with, so you want to lean more to the left or more to the side away from the actual damper piece. Because if I touch this, it'll start to leak and it'll leak into my head. So again, you're just making sure that the cord is put aside, and you want to go straight in, and you can use your other hand to kind of guide it into place. Just use your finger. And again, you don't want to touch the side. Just be very careful. Get it lined up. Once it's lined up, just press down, and you're ready to move on to your next damper. You can either recycle your ink and then rinse this off and do the next damper, or you can just discard this, rinse it, and do your next damper. So after you've discarded it or recycled it, you can just, I put a cup of water inside, and you can just fill it up, fill up the water, stop it, because you can't suck in there while it's going because of the air bubbles. So stop the water, suck out of the cup, and just squirt it into the sink. Suck, squirt, suck, squirt, suck, squirt. Now I'll suck up a bit, and then I'll suck a bit of air to give some space in there, and then I'll squirt out again. And I'll bang it off. You can wipe it with a paper towel. Wipe it with a paper towel, move on to your next damper. Okay, we'll move on to yellow. Again, just rip off a piece. You only need a small piece. I'm going to take off yellow. Again, just pinching. You can pinch the sides. If you can't get it by the sides, just grab it, pinch the top, pull forward, and then it'll kind of knock out of place, and then just carefully lift straight up and straight forward. Now, if you notice inside, so right now it's clean. Sometimes when you're pulling it out, ink will leak into there, just a drop or two. So just pull it out. You can kind of set your damper aside. Just kind of leave it to one side. And then just grab your foam tip, rinse it off, and then clean accordingly inside. Now I'll just flip this up, stick your syringe in, pull straight. You can see there's air bubbles inside there. So now we hold it upside down, and that'll suck those air bubbles out. And just continually suck upside down. And then you push forward a little bit and suck up if there's any more air. Just a little bit forward to let it bubble out just a little bit. Pull your syringe down, pulling it out slow. A little bit of a squirt. Grab that little napkin or paper towel, clean the bottom. Again, pinching the top hose and the top of the damper at the same time, using your other finger to control, and kind of just line it straight up. Once you have it lined up and in place, just press straight down. Okay, ripping off another piece. Getting to the dampers that needed it. Again, pinching, pulling forward till you feel it kind of pop out. And you can use your other finger to control here as well. And just kind of pull straight up. Use this finger so it doesn't flick out of place. And then just pull straight out. Again, making sure not to touch this as you pull it out or it'll spill inside. Once you get it out, grab your syringe. Straight. Upside down. And then just push it out a bit. Once you get all that air out, pull out slow and wipe accordingly. And then put your damper right back in place. Okay, moving on to the next one. Pinching, pulling forward, then straight up, straight out, syringe in, pull back, get a good grip, hold it upside down, push back a little bit once you get the air out, get it bubbled out a little, bring it down carefully, kind of pushing in at the same time here, then pulling straight out, taking a piece of napkin, wiping the bottom, and getting that right back into place.
Sorry for the noise, Jason.
It's all good, buddy. Okay, we're on our last colored damper here. Just gonna pull forward, pull that out, nice and straight. A little bit of air in there. Let's get that out. Upside down. Once the air is out, a little push back, let it bubble out. Not too much. Bring it back down, out slowly. Maybe a little squirt. Clean the bottom of your damper. And back into place, nice and straight, not hitting the sides. Get it lined up, and then straight in. Okay, so now we've got our colored all finished up. We can kind of move this out of place now. Make sure there's no mess on the sides. You didn't make a mess anywhere there. We can kind of pull this back down now. Pull this down so it's not touching the head when we put it in. So just under the lip of this, and you can tape it back down. Okay, so now that we have the back colored dampers primed, we can move on to the front. We can pull our head back down. Again, we want to be careful when we pick it up. We don't want to be pulling on the cables. We don't want those to dislodge from the actual head. So grab the side of the head, pull it slowly, making sure not to touch your actual printer head. Grab both sides. And being careful that because your screws are still in there. So if a screw falls out, don't panic, just grab it and put it back into place. Pull your head down slowly. And as you're putting it into place, so once I get to about here, I'll hold the head with this hand. I'll hold a couple of the dampers with my other hand. So I have more control to actually be able to put this head straight down. You don't want to slide it in there, and you've got to push your cables in as well on the sides. So just make sure your cables are tucked in. Get some control with the cable or with the hoses off the dampers, and then kind of put it straight into place. And you can kind of follow the screw holes as well as you're dropping it into place. And then once you get it lined up over those holes, give it a little press down, and then you can actually put the screws into place. So now it's fallen into place. You can take your Phillips screwdriver and you can screw those down. Don't screw them all the way in right away. Just kind of lightly there. And then go to the one totally across at the back. And then kind of screw that one down. I'll go back to the front one, screw that one down. Back to here. Screw that one down. Now with this last one, now you can kind of put it in nice and tautly and tight. Don't go taut. Don't go too tight. You don't want to break it, but nice and taut in there. So now I'll firmly do that one. Move back to this one. Put it firmly into place. Once you get those nice and firm, now head two's back in place. And if this requires any priming, we can prime those as well. Okay, so now we're going to prime all our white dampers. Again, just pinching. You can either, but these ones here, you got to kind of just push back. So just push straight back until it kind of pops out of place. Then pull straight up and straight out. And again, if any mess gets in there, a little drip gets inside, just use your foam tip and clean accordingly. Okay, so once all that's primed, you can move any paper towel, remove this, bring it back, remove this one. Okay, so once you've removed all the paper towel and there's nothing in the way anymore, you hit origin, and that'll return it back to base. And now we're ready to load ink into our newly primed dampers. But before we do that, we'll just pull our film forward, pull that back into place for our nozzle check. Make sure our sliders are in the proper positioning. And now we can move to Print XP and we can load ink. Okay, so in Print XP, of course, you're gonna go up to your settings tab. Gonna make sure your margins are set to 0. You're gonna go to your load ink, 2 heads all, and load ink. You wanna do that for about 40 seconds, 45 seconds. And then we'll do our cleaning. Okay, that's about 45 seconds, 50 seconds, but that's fine. In between 40 to 60 seconds. And then what you want to do is go up to your clean, 2 heads all, and you want to go weak. Give your head a nice weak clean, and then we will do a nozzle check and see how we did on our priming. Okay, device is ready. It's finished its weak clean. Again, making sure your margins are set to 0. And then we're gonna do our check. What I normally do is I'll move the film ahead a little bit first, just to make sure that there's no kinks or it's not getting stuck. There we go, it's coming through nice and smooth. Sliders are in place. We're ready for a nozzle check. We go over to check, left click on check, and let's see how our nozzle check looks. Okay, which is normal after a priming. So now we'll just do another clean, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, that cleaning's done. Now let's push the film forward a little bit so we can get a new check. Just enough to read both. Now we'll hit check again. Now we're just about cleared up. Black's a little bit out, so we just got to do one more cleaning. And there's a few spots there. Now some of these lines here, these here, could be from your wiper blade. So you always want to make sure that that's wiped as well. So you can grab a foam tip, give that a wipe, put some moisturizer on it, and just give that a moisturizing. So let's do that now. We'll grab our foam tip, rinse it off completely, wring it out, give the wiper blade just a wipe on each side, front and back side. There's still a little bit of ink, just rinse it off again. Rinse off that old ink. Give it another little wipe. And then you can rinse that off. Make sure all of your water, your distilled water, is squeezed out. And then you're gonna grab your moisturizer, squeeze bottle, and just squeeze some moisturizer into it. Not too much. And then just kind of do both sides. So just kind of get in behind it, give it a little moisturizing behind, and in front and on top. And now that we've done that, we can go back over and we can do our cleaning. Clean, and we'll do one more re-clean. Try to clear up that black and that little bit of white. Okay, third cleaning's done. And we're gonna pull the film forward a bit. I go to a head, or you could push down on here, of course. But I'm gonna push ahead on Print XP. Go ahead. Let's get over to our check. And there we go. So now we've got a clean read. Okay. A couple little ones here, but those are nothing to be concerned about. They're all in different spots. So, but black is cleared up. It's got a couple of little breaks in it, but that's okay. You can do one more week cleaning, and then you can start to print. Okay, so I just did that one last cleaning just to check it. Go forward. You're okay to print with it like that. I'm just doing this one last cleaning. You could print from that point, or you could just do one more cleaning. I just did one more cleaning. Just gonna do a check from that cleaning. And there we go. So now we have a nice clean nozzle check. And we can kind of go through memory lane here. Let me take you through that. We'll go through the checks as we went along. Okay, so this was the first nozzle check after the priming. And 1 week clean. And then we did another week clean. And that's what our black looked like before. And all our cyan. But now all the cyan's cleared up in our second one. Our white has really cleared up. So the white cleared up a lot. We can just go back quickly. We can see how broken up it is there. We go forward. So it's improving. Now we'll move to our third. And there's more of a major improvement. And what you're looking for is, if these air pockets are in the same spot on every one, that's a concern. But as long as these are moving around, then it's okay. So I'll just revert back to my last one quickly, and I'll kind of compare the two. And I can see that that's in a different spot, and it was clean just a second ago, so it's fine. And there's our black clearing up. A couple of air pockets left. Then we'll get to our last one here, and that's where it kind of really cleared things up. And there's a few at the top of black, which is fine. We can see from the last one before that a lot of the breaks were at the bottom, and there's like 3 in the top. But this is okay to print now, and that should all clear it up. Now, if you're getting a lot, if it's starting to look like this a lot in your prints, let me just go back to this one here. If you're having trouble really getting rid of like a lot of these big breaks, that's when you're going to use the blue and you're going to let it sit overnight. Or if you start to recognize breaks like this, staying in the same spot on repeated nozzle checks, then just soak wet cap in blue for the night, and that will hopefully resolve that issue, and you can beat that clog before it gets worse. So that's it. That's your priming and your nozzle checks on the Super Mini DTF printer. And now you can go ahead and just print away. Let's go to a job history here and see what's in there. We'll just print this one here and print away. for watching.